History is forged by figures of immense will, men who stand against the tide. Charles Martel was one such man. He was born into a world of chaos, the illegitimate son of a powerful Frankish nobleman. His path to power was not guaranteed, it was earned. He fought his way out of prison, seized control, and united the fractured kingdoms of the Franks. He was a warrior, first and foremost, a leader who understood that power came not from a crown, but from the loyalty of the men who stood beside him in the shield wall. Charles Martel, the man they called the Hammer. The force moving north into Gaul was more than just an army. It was the leading edge of a global superpower, the Umayyad Caliphate, with its capital in distant Damascus. A vast and wealthy empire that stretched from the borders of India to the shores of the Atlantic. Its armies were disciplined, experienced, and confident. They had conquered the Visigothic kingdom in Spain with shocking speed. They now saw the fractured lands of the Franks as the next prize, a ripe fruit ready for the taking. This was not a mere raiding party, it was an invasion. Their commander was Abd al-Rahman al-Ghafiqi, a veteran general and skilled tactician. His army was built around its greatest strength: cavalry, Berber scouts and skirmishers, and heavily armored Arab elites, a devastating force for shock tactics. They crossed the Pyrenees, sacked Bordeaux, burned its churches, and put its defenders to the sword. Charles Martel knew he could not fight the Umayyad army on their terms. To face their cavalry on an open plain was suicide. His army was different, a force of heavy infantry, a wall of shields and spears. He chose a wooded, elevated position between Poitiers and Tours, a place that would disrupt a cavalry charge and force the enemy to fight uphill. They formed up on that cold October day in 732, a dense, tight formation, a great square of men, shoulder to shoulder. Their large round shields interlocked, spears bristled outward, iron helmets, mail coats, heavy swords, the Francisca, an immovable object planted on the soil they defended, quiet, disciplined, waiting. Chroniclers were awestruck. One called it a wall of ice. Their homes, their families, their faith. Hold the line at all costs. Do not break, do not pursue, stand and fight. The battle began with a roar. The Umayyad army surged forward, drums pounded, horns blared, hooves thundered, the ground trembled. Thousands of horsemen charged up the slope, armor gleaming, curved swords raised high. They struck the Frankish line like a battering ram. Steel crashed on steel, iron on wood. The shield wall buckled but did not break. Men planted their feet and absorbed the shock. Spears from the second and third ranks impaled horses and toppled riders. Swords rose and fell, axes rose and fell. The first charge recoiled, dead and wounded, at the Frankish foot. The turning point came late in the day. A rumour spread through their ranks, a whisper of panic that became a roar of alarm. The Franks had broken through. They were in the Umayyad camp, seizing the plunder. For many, the loot was the reason to fight. A large contingent broke off and galloped back to protect their treasure. The move was disastrous. Others, seeing comrades ride away, believed the battle was lost. Abd al-Rahman rode desperately to rally his men, to press the attack one last time. In the chaos, he was surrounded by Frankish infantry. He fought bravely, but he was cut down and killed. The death of their commander shattered morale. With their general slain and their lines in disarray, the will to fight evaporated. The attack faltered completely. At dusk, the remnants retreated. The Franks stood silent and vigilant, expecting dawn. When morning came, the field was quiet. The Umayyad camp was deserted, tents, baggage, and plunder abandoned. Ever cautious, Charles forbade pursuit, fearing ambush. The greatest army in Europe had been broken. On that field near Tours, a legend was forged in steel, the legend of Charles the Hammer. The victory at Tours was more than just a military triumph. It was a moment that echoed through the centuries, the high-water mark of the Muslim advance into Western Europe. Had Charles Martel been defeated, the path to Paris, to the Rhine, and even to Rome would have been open. The history of Europe its culture, its religion, and its political development would have been profoundly different. The Battle of Tours halted the seemingly unstoppable expansion from the south and secured the Frankish borders. It allowed Charles to consolidate power, laying the groundwork for his grandson Charlemagne to forge the Carolingian Empire. Historians have debated its precise significance. Some call it a raid. But in context, after decades of conquest, Tours was decisive. It broke the spell of invincibility in the West and forced a strategic re-evaluation. Europe would develop along its own trajectory. Roman, Germanic, and Christian traditions fused. They fought for their commander, for their homes, and for a future they could not yet imagine. This was the day Europe was saved.